Well, for the second straight year, the Detroit Lions face the Dallas Cowboys in a must-win football game. And for a second straight year, they put the boots to them. Last night on Thursday Night Football, they are 44-30 winners and keep their playoff hopes alive. We're going to break it all down for you on this edition of Believe in Lions, brought to you by FanDuel. We are pleased to be live with you. I'm Trevor Thompson, joined as always by the star of the show, GQ, Glover Quinn, looking mighty GQ in those frames today here, my guy, too, as well. When we had our preview show coming into this game, Glover, FanDuel had the odds at the Lions giving 3 and the over-under set at 54.5. They covered last night. When we had the preview show, I said, I'm taking the under. Didn't trust the Lions offense. Boy, was I wrong. And if you got a prop bet on Jahmyr Gibbs last night getting a touchdown, well, that paid off for you because dude had 3. The defense, 5 sacks and 3 turnovers. Everything was clicking for the Lions last night. You've been saying it all year. This is a mature football team. They looked every bit of that in Thursday Night Football. Start us off with what you think about that performance.
I mean, it was incredible. I mean, from start to finish, the energy was high. They played fast. They played hard. They didn't go out there playing like they felt sorry for themselves because guys were banged up, things like that. And, I think when you have guys like Amon that everybody know he's injured, but when you can find a way to fight through it and play, it just gives everybody else that little spark like, hey, man, we're not feeling sorry for ourselves. And that's why it was so important for me to be out there every game, hey, we're here. Like, let's go play. And they did that last night, and it was a great thing to see. They played phenomenal from start to finish. Defense, like you said, they got turnovers. They pressured the quarterback. I mean, it was a great effort, and guys went down still. You know what I'm saying? Guys went down. Avonte Maddox had to come in the game early. Brian Branch got hurt in that thing late. But they just played, and they fought, and obviously Jahmyr Gibbs did his thing. And I text you during the game. I don't know. I was like, hey, man, Jahmyr might have to go play some slot wide receiver, right? David Montgomery put in the game. David Montgomery gets in the game. He runs for a touchdown. I see Jahmyr in the slot catching passes. You got to put your playmakers on the field. You just have to do that. And so I think the Lions watch the pod because, we be live on TV and we be showing up in the Lions facility. So I think they watched the pod. They heard it.
I think your boy Calvin Shepard was listening too. They mixed up that defense and really came with something last night. But one of our viewers watching live right now as we're on YouTube chimed in with this. And this is one thing I did want to get to. Wanted to know what you thought of the play calling last night. And I want to get your thoughts on this as well. This has been a few weeks now for Dan Campbell calling plays. Last night, everything was clicking with the play calling. Do you think he might have now found himself a groove and found a way to work this in and has his own mojo working as far as the play calling goes? Because they were seamless last night. They were taking chances. They were aggressive, and it all paid off. What were your thoughts?
Well, I just think, at the end of the day, the Lions have to have that sense of urgency every week. And I think if I can point to one thing that I would say maybe hinders them is that sometimes they show up like they're just supposed to win as opposed to showing up with that attitude that we're going to take it. And I think last night they showed up with the attitude like we have to go and take this. Like, we're not just going to walk in here and win. And when they show up like that, you get the performances that they had in Baltimore earlier in the season. You get the performance that they had last night. When they don't show up like that, you get the performance that they had against Minnesota at home. You get you get those performances when they don't show up like that. And if this team can continue to show up like that, the play calling, the effort, it's going to take care of itself. You know what I'm saying? When you're executing and you're getting big plays and you're getting stops defensively and you can be in control of the game, it helps the play calling. It's a team game. When you're not getting stops on defense, you feel more pressure on offense. So now you got to take more chances. You got to do more things. When you're not scoring on offense, you feel more pressure on defense. So it just all works together. When the defense is playing well, you're getting turnovers, you're getting sacks, you're forcing fumbles and all these different things. The offense is getting good field position. They feel in control of the game. They don't feel stressed. I mean, even from special teams, we were returning the ball out to the 40 almost every time.
Yeah, they were starting
Like,
in
even the
midfield every
special
time. Yep.
teams is stepping up, and so when you go out and you play like that and you do that, it just takes the pressure off of everybody, and you can stay within who you are. And when you can stay within who you are, you can run the ball, you can play action, you can hit guys that need to be hit, you can make timely plays. When you get behind and you're having to be forced out of your game plan, and then you're shorthanded, it's very difficult. But when you can play in a game and stay within yourself, you don't have to get out of your game plan, it can look a lot different. And we see over the course of the game, the score was early kind of close. And next thing you know, it ended up, you said the over under was 55. They had 74 points last night.
Yeah. You know what? That Cowboys defense had been suspect all season long. They got a little better after the trade deadline, made some big acquisitions there, and that certainly helped in that regard. But that defense didn't look like a playoff defense last night. What did you see as far as what the Lions were able to take advantage of or how they attacked that? You talked about the way they set up Jahmyr, the way they used Montgomery, the way they used J-Mo was certainly effective, and Amon-Ra certainly balled out last night playing on a bad ankle. But what did you see that they were able to exploit last night in order to put up 44 points?
I mean, I think they just exploited the lack of effort that the Cowboys had, and the
lack
way
of
that
effort in
they,
a must-win game. You saw
yeah,
lack of effort out there. You did,
yeah, and
really.
it's shown up for the Cowboys in multiple games this season. Their defense hasn't been great. I mean, you think about their defense hasn't been great. Their offense, like I say, it's a team game. Their offense has been really good in these last few games against the Chiefs, against the Eagles. So then the defense, you can hide some of the flaws. You can hide some of the things that they don't do very well because the offense is taking over and they're controlling the game and they're controlling the ball and they're scoring. So you're putting the other team out of their game plan to try to keep up with you guys. Well, last night it was the other way around. The Cowboys offense wasn't scoring like that. The Lions defense was controlling the tempo. And so now you're putting more pressure on your defense, and their defense hasn't been good this year. I mean, they just haven't been good. Their secondary hasn't been consistent. Their pass rush has been almost non-existent. So they haven't been a really good defense. And when you play against a good offense, you're going to get exposed unless your offense is doing things to control the game. They control the game and put pressure on the Lions. Now, the Lions become a one-dimensional football team, and it makes it easier for you to stop. But the fact that they couldn't get the Lions in that situation last night, now you got to try to stop this run game. You got to try to find Jahmyr. He's out here. He's over there. You got David Montgomery coming in. We hitting J-Mo. We hitting Amon. Like we hitting it. And now you get exposed as a defense because you wasn't very good anyway.
What about the Lions defense last night? Getting to Dak 5 times for sacks. They've got 3 turnovers in the game. They found a way to get to Dak, despite the fact that in our preview, we talked about the Lions defense having the worst pressure time in the NFL. Well, last night they got to him 5 times. How were they able to do that? What did they exploit on the defensive side of the ball?
I mean, anytime you see linebackers getting sacks, I saw Jack Campbell get it. Anytime you see linebackers, that means they're bringing pressure. They're bringing pressure. And I haven't seen the All-22. And, it's funny, I was at a Christmas dinner last night, but I had the game on. Like, I had the phone propped up. We're watching the game. So I didn't get to hear
it at the Christmas party.
Oh, yeah. I had a couple.
Okay.
Guys. Yeah. But so I didn't get to hear all of the commentator stuff that they were saying, that they're talking, kind of saying things. But from what I could see, anytime the quarterback is holding the ball, that means that it's not wide open and there's a little indecision. And most of the time, it's probably because you're in a zone. Because if you're in man-to-man, they clearly can see that you're in man and they're throwing the man beaters, right? When you're in the zone, now it's kind of like, okay, and it's not as clear for them. So they hold the ball a little bit. And then pressure is coming, so they're getting sacked. So that would make me feel like the Lions were doing some zone pressures. That's why you see Jack Campbell get the one that, they thought was a safety. And, you know what I'm saying? Like when you see linebackers getting sacks, that's because they're bringing pressure. And the quarterback's holding the ball, I would say it's probably because they were playing some zone, because if it was man, you can throw it, whether that, as man pressure. So I think they did a good job of mixing up their man pressures, their zone pressures, and they did a good job of, when you do a good job of forcing negative plays. I saw multiple times where the Cowboys are in 2nd and 15 and 3rd and 21 and things like, you're not going to be successful when you're getting situations like that. But how are you getting in those situations? You're forcing penalties on first down, negative plays, you're bringing pressure, you're being sure tacklers, you're doing things like that. And over the course of the game, it's just going to take a toll on them.
Well, they need to bottle that and carry it forward for the next 4 games, because they're going to need all of that and then some to keep those playoff hopes alive. Shame on me for burying the lead so far in this show. We've talked about the offense and how it was clicking. Everybody contributed, but this Jahmyr Gibbs dude, wow. What can you say? 3 more touchdowns last night. That guy got the ball in open space, and he was a menace. His 47th touchdown before turning 24. He doesn't turn 24 until March. He's tied the great Barry Sanders for the most touchdowns before the age of 24. The kid just went off last night. I don't know what kind of superlatives you're going to find to use to explain what this guy's doing on the field, but you've been on the field. How do you describe a guy like this, and how do you contain a guy like this?
I mean, he's just, he has all of it in a sense. Some running backs are really good. They're big, so they're just tough to tackle. Some running backs are smaller, so they're fast, so they're shifty. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs kind of has all of that. He's a really fast guy, but he's not tiny. And, you see him run with some power. You see him run behind his shoulder pads. You see him run between the tackles. You see him stiff arm and then just running through guys. And so he's just one of those guys that he can run inside, he can run outside. He's so sudden, he's so explosive in and out of the holes. He jump cuts, he can move. And every play he can take it the distance. And then when I say the distance, I'm not talking about from the 20 to the touchdown. I'm talking about from end zone to end zone. He can pull off a 99-yarder at any given time. And there's only been a few running backs that I felt like that, even when I played, that I felt like, this guy is trying to take it 100 yards every time. And the last one that I feel like I played against that was trying to take it 100 yards every time was Adrian Peterson. Mm-hmm. He was trying to take it 100 yards every single time. I feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is trying to go every single time. Like, I feel like he wants to show how fast he is. I feel like he looks for opportunities to break out so he can just run fast, because he knows that, you don't get your top speed on the tracker in 20-yard runs. When you can get some 60-yarders and 70-yarders, now you can get up to the 22 and the 23 miles per hour. And I think he loves to see that. And he's a young guy. He got young legs. And what better time to capitalize on it when you got those young legs? And so it's a beautiful thing to see. I'm glad that I get to watch it. And I'm glad, like I said, I saw this kid at Alabama, and I was like, man, this kid's nice. When the Lions drafted him, I was like, why they drafted him? They already had DeAndre Swift. I'm like, I didn't think we need another running back. And then they traded Swift. I'm like, oh, now I see what we're doing here.
Easily forgotten about now, bro.
Yeah. So he's a weapon, man. He is unbelievable. He's super explosive, and you have to account for him regardless of where he's at. Outside, inside, backfield, under center. It doesn't matter where he's at. Unlike Skipper last night, they didn't account for Skipper. And Skipper was like, hey, Jared, I'm open. And this thing, Skipper goes in motion and Jared tries to throw it to him. That was a funny play. But Jahmyr Gibbs is an awesome guy.
Listen to the company he's keeping through the first 45 games. Barry Sanders, through his first 45 games, averaged 5 yards per carry. Jahmyr Gibbs is averaging 5.5. Through the first 45 games, Jerry Rice had 43 total touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs has 47. Through the first 45 games, Emmitt Smith had 4,601 yards total. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4,726 through 45 games. That's the company that he's keeping right now. Guys do watch film. Teams are going to make adjustments, but how sustainable is this level of play for this kid 3 years into his career?
I think it's sustainable. I mean, it's a lot of factors that go into it. Obviously, the O line is good. The you got
Yeah.
good wide receivers, right? So it's not just all eyes on you. Um, and you know, he's young and he's been fortunate enough to stay healthy, and that's the biggest thing. And so you look at all those guys that you named off, obviously tremendously talented players, and then they had the longevity.
Yeah.
Emmitt Smith
Yeah.
played
Yeah.
for a long time. So when you can keep that up for a long period of time, right? And that's just kind of how we base it off of it, right? Like if something happened today, we would say, man, Jahmyr Gibbs was on a pace to be this, right? But then he stopped, right?
Mhm.
You do it for another 4 years, you're gonna be like, man, this right here is one of the best things we've seen in the last 8 years, right? And then you do it for 12 and it's like, man, we've never seen it because you were able to sustain it for so long. People don't understand how hard it is to sustain it year in and year out. And so for
Mhm.
him to be able to put these
Absolutely.
numbers up in 3 years, if he can continue to stay hungry and continue to work at it, continue to stay healthy and continue to play the way he's been playing, he'll go down as one of the best running backs in the history of the game.
He's a guy I'd pay to see. I mean,
No
you can
question.
go through the league and talk about guys who are special, but there are guys who are special, then there are guys you would pay to see play, and you would pay to see this guy play. He's a thrill every time he gets his hands on the ball. What does
No
that
question.
do inside a locker room? You've got a guy like that, a weapon like that, and he's already like, you look at the Giants game, he was the determining factor in that game. Last night, you could say he was the determining factor in that game. When you've got a guy like that in your room, how does it lift everybody else?
I mean, I think, for me personally, anytime you got anybody that is a high caliber, dynamic type of player, it should automatically elevate you, regardless of what position that you play. Because, like you say, a running back, you're not going to get much without a good old line. So if I'm an old lineman, I'm really trying to elevate my game. Why? Because when Jahmyr Gibbs balls out, who's going to get the credit? Yeah, we're not scoring the touchdowns, but he can't score them if we're not blocking. So they're gonna always give the O-line credit. We're the ones opening up the holes, right? And he's seeing them, which takes a talent, but we got to create those holes, right? Well, if he's breaking long runs, somebody got to block these defensive backs. So your receivers got to be happy to block
Mhm.
because they know if everybody's worrying about Jahmyr Gibbs, those play action passes are going to be wide open and they're going to be hitting the Ross St. Brown across the middle on crossing routes off the play action. Jameson Williams going to get free on the deep balls on play action. That's because the run game is going. So how can I help the run game get going? I can block.
Mhm.
I can block because now if I'm blocking, they think I'm coming to block them. Nope, I run right past them and I'm getting the deep. Like it all works together. So when you got anybody that's a dynamic type of player, it should affect you in a positive way to feel like, okay, this is going to help me. Don't ever feel jealous because somebody else is getting shine. You say, I'm glad he's getting shine. Why? Because it's going to help me get shine.
Mhm.
I just got to go out and do my part. And when my number gets called, ding, 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 I'm going to answer the phone. Right. And so I think when you have a guy like Jahmyr, that just brings out the best in everybody, the O-line, Amon, JMO, all those different things, because a receiver, when you're getting highlighted for how you're blocking down the field, that's going to show well in the meeting room. That's
Mhm.
going to show well on TV. That's going to show well in all those things. And, people are going to look at you as an unselfish player because a lot of wide receivers come across as selfish. We never see them happy to block. We always see them complaining about not getting the ball thrown to them, right? And so when you see them happy to block and they're downfield, they're hustling, and then when they turn around and catch touchdowns, you feel even happier that they got rewarded for the block that they had in the second quarter. And so it just works
Yeah.
together for everybody.
Well, in winning last night, there was also a loss. And we talked about this. We've been talking about injuries, injuries, injuries. They led the league in man games, lost to injuries last year. They're doing so again this year. And then they lose Brian Branch again last night, carted off the field. Next man up, next man up. We keep talking about it. But when you keep losing high caliber players like this, and he's been missing for a couple of weeks throughout the season this year, you have to find a way to play through that. They're doing that. But that's a big loss for this team going forward again.
That's a huge loss. I mean, you're already without Kirby Joseph. You're already without Terry Arnold. I mean, now you're losing Brian Branch. And, I I mean, we don't know. I mean, obviously, this is they get the long break now.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime you get carted off the field, like you can't walk off the field slowly, and then now, and when you look at it, at least from what I saw, sometimes, the worst things look is not as bad as it seems in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you can clearly see, oh, he rolled his ankle. Okay, it's probably a high ankle sprain, but you can clearly see that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if it's broken or ain't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, those look kind of bad, you know what I'm saying? But with his, I didn't really see anything that was just like major, like to know, was it an ankle? What is a knee? Was it a, you know what I'm saying? You didn't really see like, oh, the knee gave in, or oh, look at the ankle. You didn't really see that. So that makes you feel like it was, I don't want to say non-contact, but just kind of like a weird type of thing. So that could be anything. Did he feel something in his knee? Did he get a Liz Frank in his foot? Did he, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is the, and I mean, I'm sure the reports will come out today or at some point. Well, they don't play for a while, so they probably won't put the reports out for a little while. He probably got an MRI today to see what's going on. But those are the things that's scary. And then you see him getting carted off. So, it's a long walk from the sidelines and up the hill to the locker room in Detroit. So
it is. It's a long walk. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't look too much into that because it could be an ankle. But that's a little worrisome. Mm-hmm. That's a little worrisome.
Well, we'll look forward to the news on that, and hopefully it's not as bad as it seems. And he'll be back out there when the Lions take the field again against the Rams. But they did win last night. They did help their playoff hopes. Right now on FanDuel, they're 54% probable to make the playoffs. Minus 142 are the odds on FanDuel. But the Bears leading the division right now on FanDuel, they've got a 74% probability of making the playoffs. Minus 320 are the odds. But they go into Green Bay, and they could leave with a 10-3 record, guy, if they win on the road in Green Bay. FanDuel odds right now have the Bears getting 6.5 in that game. Over-under is 44.5 in that game. But what are your thoughts on a Bears team that right now is just defying the odds? Defying all the odds to forget what they are. I don't care what you say. This team has to be dealt with right now.
Yeah, they're playing well right now. They found the formula. They're running the ball, and this type of weather, it just seems to benefit Chicago. Like they just love or seem to love playing in the cold, playing in the outside, playing in the nasty weather, and they're playing well. They're playing good. They're winning games, and we all know all these teams in the NFL are front runners, and I don't say that in a negative way, but when you're winning, it's just better. So less guys are injured, guys are trying to find ways to play. And, when you win, I always used to say this, you are what your record says you are.
Yep.
And we can say, oh, they lost a lot of close games. Well, they found a way to lose close games. That means the other teams found ways to win the close games. Good teams find ways to win. Bad teams find ways to lose. That just is what it is. So if you're 5-5, then you are an average football team. That just is what it is, right? And so when you look at their record says that they're 9-3. So at the end of the day, they've done enough things right to win 9 times. Whether they got lucky, hey, man, you create your own luck in a sense, right? Like it just is what it is. They've done enough to win 9 games. So we got to treat them as such. We can't continue to say, oh, they're just the Bears. No, they've won 9 games. They're the number one team right now in the NFC, if you even look at it, right? Them and the Rams. So at the end of the day, they are in our division. They got to play Green Bay. So obviously we need them to beat Green Bay because we still got to play the Bears, but we got to catch up. We need somebody to beat the Bears, but we don't need Green Bay to beat the Bears. But because we don't play Green Bay anymore, Green Bay done beat us twice, so it's gonna be hard for us to catch Green Bay in the division. Yeah. So if we can get
have any tiebreakers either right now,
no. So it's tough. It's tough for the Lions. Only thing the Lions can do is what they did last night: go out and win. I mean, you can't control what the other teams do. All you can do is go out and win. And you got 4 games left. You got the Rams, you got the Steelers, you got the Vikings, and you got the Bears. So you go out and win those 4 games, and you get to 12, 12 wins. 12 wins should get you in the playoffs. You will hope.
You think they
12
have to
wins
run
can
the
get you
table?
in. I don't think
You
they
think that's
have to
what
run
it'll
the
take?
table. I don't think they have to run the table, but why not go run the table? Why leave it up to chance? Go run the table. Go on the road. This is the thing that I like. And we talked about this at the beginning of the season. I said I didn't want to see them have a cakewalk schedule. I didn't want to see them
Right.
have a cakewalk season. This right here are the kinds of runs that you go on to win Super Bowls. If you think back to those years that the Giants won the Super Bowl, those last 4 weeks of the season is like they were playing for their playoff lives every game. Right? They had to win those. They had to win those games just to get the 9-7, just to get in the playoffs. And then they went on and won the Super Bowl, right? And so you look at the Lions, our back was up against the wall, and you got to win a good beat a good football team, shorthanded, injured, all this stuff, and you found a way to win. Next week, you're playing another game for your playoff life against a playoff caliber team. Then the next week, you're playing in another game at home, your last home game, I think it is. Your last home game of the season on the 21st, you're playing in a high-stakes game. Pittsburgh's going to be trying to win that game because they're going to have playoff implications at that time, right? You're going to be fighting. And then you got to go on the road on Christmas Day against Minnesota to win that game. Like, that's a divisional game. And then to close it out with the Chicago Bears, who's leading the division right now, this is a run that if the Lions can come out of this thing, run the table, we could be gearing up to see a historic Super Bowl run for the Lions.
Wouldn't that be something? And they're going to get some guys back. You talk about they got a long break now before they play the Rams. They could be getting some guys back at just the right time, and that will certainly give those guys a boost as well. How kind of impact can that be? Guys miss time. When you miss significant time and it's this point of the season, everybody else is going, how tough is it to catch up if you've been out injured right now? Can those guys make the impact we think and hope they can?
That's what you want. Like I say, you want to get off to a good start. You go through the midseason lull where you're dealing with injuries and you're just dealing with guys are getting tired, and it's just the lulls of the season. And then you want to bounce back. And this is the time that you want to bounce back. If guys are gonna get hurt early so that you can come back now. And now you can come right in, and we got 4 games left to play. You guys can come right back in, get acclimated. What hurt is Brian Branch getting hurt last night because that could put him out for the next 4, right? What hurt is Terrion Arnold going on IR because now he's going to be out for the like those are the things that hurt. But some of those guys that were hurt early and they're coming back now, that's going to help you. DJ Reed coming back last night. I mean, I think he came back last week, but last night had an impact play, right? So getting guys back helps always when you get your good players back. You just don't want them going out late in the season. So I think it sets up well for the Lions, and they'll be battle tested. They'll be lost took some hard lumps against some good football teams, but that's the part of the season. Like that's all a part of the story. You look back on those games and you say, you know what, we lost, but we learned. And if you can do that, it's just going to benefit you. You don't want to lose and lose. You want to lose and learn. Like, what do we do wrong? What do we got to fix? Is it our mindset? Is it our preparation? Is it our attention to detail? What are the things that we can take from these big high stakes games that we lost that we can use to help us later on? And last night we saw that to where they took some things that hasn't been working for them in the big games, and they showed it last night. And I think the big part of it is energy and effort, and they played with that last night offensively and defensively, and they got a big win.
We're going to get into this Rams game a lot deeper on our preview midweek, but just before we leave the folks right now, give us a thought what you're thinking about as they take on Matthew Stafford, who's having an MVP type season, and the Rams, who are looking like a playoff worthy football team as well.
Well, Stafford's been on a historic run this year as well, right? And then, last week it was obviously the football gods, or just the law of averages. Just is what it is. He had a game, wasn't a great game, couple turnovers, 3 turnovers, I think, and Carolina wins. They go on the road on Thanksgiving weekend, and they lose, right? So, but we know that the Rams are a good football team. We know that they're a good football team, and you don't expect Stafford to have that type of game, multiple weeks in a row. And so it doesn't set up for the Lions in that regard, because even if he does it twice in a row, that means this week he'll have another bad game, and then he'll be really pissed off when it's time to play the Lions, and so he'll be ready to go. But Stafford's just having a good year, and we all know he's talented, and they got good wide receivers with Devontae and Puka, so it's going to be a great matchup. But like I say, the Lions have been playing these games week in and week out. Kansas City, Philadelphia, Dallas, like they've been playing big games week in and week out this second half of the season. So going to LA is going to be another one of those big games, and they've been stepping up to the challenge. So I would hope that they would do the same, and so they can get some rest this weekend, sit back and watch some football. Got some good football games on this. This is a great weekend of football. The Lions game was a big game last night. You got the Texans and the Chiefs, I think, coming on this week. That's a must win for both of those teams that's trying to get into the playoffs. So you got the Bears and the Vikings. I mean, the Bears and the Packers are playing. Like, this is a good weekend for football. It should be chilly out there in Detroit. It's a little chilly here in Houston. Get you some coffee, some whiskey, whatever you got. Grab a blanket, lay on the couch, and watch some football all day and enjoy it. And then wake up Monday morning and go back to work and get ready to go to LA and get a win.
And be sure to join us midweek when we preview that game between the Lions and the Rams. It'll take place in sunny Southern California. Thank you for joining us on this live edition of Believe in Lions, brought to you by FanDuel. For Glover Quinn, I'm Trevor Thompson. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to share. We can't wait to see you midweek when we have that preview of the Lions' next upcoming game. Another must-win game for your Detroit Lions. We'll have it covered for you right here. Be sure to join us then. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.